A new UN report was released claiming that 1 million species may go extinct in the coming decades. In this video, we'll explore the science, the facts, and the data that dispute this notion. A hearing was recently held in the United States House of Representatives, and the Democrat chairman opened the hearing with this.
Earlier this month, a team of scientists from around the world released a comprehensive report detailing just how many species are at risk of extinction because of human activity. The numbers are staggering. As many as 1 million species are threatened with extinction. That's 1 in every 8 species around the world.
The UN report, or IPBES, relied heavily on the IUCN Red List, the most authoritative source on all things species related. The first glaring error in the report is that it claims that there are more than 8 million species on Earth. Yet, the most recent full study by the University of Hawaii reveals that only about 1.5 million species are presently identified, 15% of the number claimed by the UN. So the UN study is predicting the extinction of hundreds of thousands of species that have yet to be named. The only chart provided to support their claims of a huge number of ever-increasing extinctions showed an alarming increase in extinctions over the last 500 years and was based on the IUCN Red List. A close look at the chart revealed that there were only 5 data points, each representing 100 years of extinctions. So I took a look at the same data set and charted all extinctions by decade rather than by century, and the result was markedly different. I found that extinctions peaked in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, and then declined significantly after that period. It's thought that the cause of this peak in extinctions was due to the introduction of non-native species, like rats, onto islands that decimated the former inhabitants. A closer look at the most recent 130 years confirmed that, instead of a frightening increase, extinctions are actually in a significant decline, just the opposite of what the new report claims. Also, according to the IPBES report, we can expect 25,000 to 30,000 extinctions per year. Yet the average over the last 40 years is about 2 species annually. Not 2,000, not 200, 2. So let's take a look now at testimony that was provided at a recent congressional hearing by Dr. Patrick Moore, a founding member of Greenpeace, and Mark Morano of Climate Depot and CFACT about this extinction crisis.
There is good paleontology for the 5 major extinctions, during which 50 to 90% of all existing species became extinct. There is 0 evidence that any such event is occurring now or has even begun to occur. My organization, the CO2 Coalition, finds the IUCN findings on biodiversity and endangered species to be far more credible than those of the IBPPS, which are not credible in the slightest. It is quite clear that the highly exaggerated claims of the IPBES are not so much out of concern for endangered species as they are for a front for radical political, social, and economic transformation of our entire civilization. Their recommendation for an end to economic growth alone condemns the developing world to increased poverty and suffering. As with the manufactured climate crisis, they are using the specter of mass extinction as a fear tactic to scare the public into compliance. The IPBES itself is an existential threat to sensible policy on biodiversity conservation. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this subject.
And Mark Morano from Climate Depot and CFAX wasted no time in launching a withering attack on the UN and the new report.
But in terms of this latest United Nations report, it is a very thinly veiled attempt to hype, distort biodiversity concerns, which there are many legitimate ones, but not as presented by the United Nations. It's the latest UN appeal to give it more money, more power, more scientific authority, more money, and more regulatory control of the economy and people's lives. At best, the U.S. science represents nothing more than authoritative bureaucracy. A more accurate term would be authoritative propaganda. Another top UN IPCC official explained that we will redistribute the world's wealth by climate policy. policy. You have to free oneself of the illusion that international climate policy is environmental policy. It almost has nothing to do with environmental policy anymore. That was Otto Edenhofer, a UN official, telling you that this is essentially the UN, a self-interested organization lobbying for political change.
This new extinction study is just the latest example of the misuse and abuse of the scientific process, designed to sow fear of an impending climate apocalypse. The fear and alarm over purported man-made catastrophes are needed to frighten the population into accepting harmful and economically crippling proposals such as the Green New Deal. Rather than Earth is spiraling into climate catastrophes that threaten the Earth and humanity, we find that Earth and its 1.5 million species are doing just fine, thank you.